Me, male 26, and my fiance, female 24, have been fighting about this for a week now. Her ex-boyfriend passed away over a month ago, and my fiance was devastated because she told me it was unexpected. Thing is, they remained friends and were both part of the group, and had many mutual friends. To be honest, I don't know her group that much, and I met her via work, so I don't see her friend group much. She took a few days away from me after she heard the news because she couldn't stop crying, and said she wanted time alone to process what happened and sort out her emotions that were in a mess. I didn't mind that, given she was staying with her sister. She talked to me every night and say she'd be coming home soon. I didn't rush her on anything. Instead, I'd ask her if she needed something. She came home 3 weeks later and seemed calmer than before. She'd stay in touch with other mutual friends who knew her ex, and they'd plan doing things to honor him. She was talking to me and told me that she was planning on getting a tattoo on her wrist with his first name, on her left wrist. I was taken aback. I asked her where she came up with this idea and why she decided without telling me. She lashed out at me for saying that it felt weird to me. She went on about me not losing a loved one and experiencing this kind of pain. Therefore, I wouldn't understand how important it is to her. The conversation turned into an argument, and I told her that I'd be postponing the wedding, which was supposed to be on January, until she reconsiders her decision of getting a tattoo. She called me selfish and blamed me for not wanting to tell me anything, saying that I'd say no. She went back to her sister, who thought I was pressuring her during these rough times. I wasn't, and I don't know how I reacted like that. I just never dealt with a situation like this before. Now I have to apologize before I even have another discussion with her. Not the a-hole. The kind of performance grief your girlfriend is pulling here is just gross. It's not about her dead ex or even the guy's family. It's all about her. How this guy dying impacted her and how she is sad. And oh, that tattoo of a man's name on my wrist? Don't ask. It's too traumatic. Just know I'm strong and deep and you wouldn't understand. Blah, blah, blah. Don't postpone the wedding. This is a perfect opportunity to just bail altogether. Not the a-hole. Don't get another man's name tattooed on you while we are together is an incredibly reasonable boundary. If she wants it permanently on her body badly enough, she can do that. But she has to realize how damaging that will be to her current engagement. Oh my gosh, not the a-hole. Her request seems quite ridiculous in my opinion. I'm very sorry for her loss, but by tattooing it on her body where it is visible at all times is blatantly disrespectful to you, her current fiance. You should really try and explain that by tattooing her ex's name on her, she is permanently keeping him in both of your lives. And to be honest, I wouldn't be okay with that at all. Obviously, it's her body, so her choice if she wants to get a tattoo. But it's your choice if you want to be with someone who has such an attachment to their ex. So, I, male 22, moved out of the house this past summer, and I've honestly been extremely happy with finally escaping my old home. My mother, female 40, has not been a good mother in any sense of the word. She put the largest expectations in the world on me, to the point where she would force me to study every waking hour and not be satisfied until I had finished basic elementary school by 3rd grade. I had no friends and absolutely no free time, and if I didn't live up to her daily quotas, I would get ignored or get a scolding that would tear me down till tears. I finally had enough of it as soon as I hit 15 and started rebelling, smoking, fighting, and partying were the basics of how I would fight back, and it only ignited a daily war against her that honestly killed something in me. The week before I turned 18, I proclaimed my intention of moving out, and I was honestly financially ready for it. I knew with absolute certainty that I had a little over $60,000 in a savings account that I would be granted access to on the day I turned 18. So I had more than enough to take on a loan, buy an okay duplex I had been eyeing, moving out and renting the second apartment to a friend to help pay off my loan as I studied. I had already talked to the bank, and all they needed to move my application forward was the official acquisition of my savings account from my mother. She denied me moving out, and I quote, "You are not only too young to live out, but utterly stupid to even consider squandering the savings I've worked up for you on such reckless actions." I calmly informed her that I knew that money did not, in fact, come from her, but from a culmination of me and my grandfather. She got horrendously pissy, and ended up closing the argument with, "We will see." Lo and behold, on my 18th birthday, the account did indeed get turned over to me, with a big fat zero as its balance. I was horrified, and checked the transaction history to see that she had transferred all the money to herself, and after confronting her, claimed that it was for my own good, and I should be thanking her for me not making a foolish mistake. It took a year before she finally came with the statement, "You will get it back when you're done with your studies," and has since been using the money as a form of blackmail to make me give in to her whims. I tried saving up myself to finally move out, but she caught on to me having an independent stream of income and started charging me for rent, utilities, and food. It took me 4 years to scratch and hide away enough for a deposit to rent an okay apartment near my university and finally move out last summer. I've since blocked her everywhere and started looking for a lawyer to look at my legal options of acquiring the money back. Keep every communication you have with her. What an evil witch! Sue her. Even if you speak to a local ex-lawyer, it's better than nothing. File an actual police report, not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Definitely check with a lawyer. If your money was in a trust and she was supposed to manage that trust until you turned 18, there would have been rules she needed to follow in order to withdraw any funds. If she violated that, you should sue. However, if the money was just in a savings account with no protections, you might be out of luck if she was the joint owner due to you being a minor. A lawyer can sort it all out for you and advise the next step, but you definitely have a right to this. I don't think you'll get that money back. Not that you don't deserve it, but because she'll find some other way to duck you in the end. Fact is, she's a jerk, and you deserve better. I hope you find a great path in life, not the a-hole. We decided to have a phone-free wedding reception, mostly because my mom and a couple people on my side are social media addicts, and I did not want anyone live posting from the wedding or blocking my expensive photographer to get a crappy cell phone picture. After reading about the concept online, I decided to do an unplugged ceremony and have everyone put their phone in a basket before they were seated. Well, mother-in-law rose hell. Mother-in-law isn't even that into her phone, but is the type who, if there is any rule, she just has to break it. My husband tried explaining why it was important to her. My mom tried reasoning with her about how it was our day and just follow the rules for once. But mother-in-law was irate. She said if she couldn't have it, it was going in her husband's car because we had no right to touch it. Our venue was a family friend's house, which was gorgeous. But since it wasn't a traditional venue, the parking kind of sucked. And mother-in-law had been one of the last to show up anyway. So her car was pretty far away. Maybe 7-minute walk one way. She was in heels, so maybe a little more. This was right at the time the ceremony was ready to start. So my wedding planner let me know the situation and asked what I wanted to do. I said we weren't waiting for her. We started right on time, and mother-in-law returned a little more than halfway through. My husband was sad but all right with it. He is very afraid that it is going to get to the point that to be the best husband he can, we will have to go no contact, or at least temporarily. So while it made him sad, he is okay with me putting her in her place as needed. After the wedding, multiple people on his side told us what a-holes we were for not waiting when she wasn't gone that long. Mother-in-law claims she doesn't care, but is still mad about the phone thing, and saying she will never step foot in our new house if we're going to go on power trips like that. This has caused a big rift between my husband and his sister though, so I was wondering if I went too far. Edited to add. The information was on the wedding website, which, to be fair, she probably didn't read because, as the mother of the groom, she knew most of that information. She was warned that we would be starting on time. Yes, the a-hole. I wouldn't be comfortable putting my phone into a basket that a big group of people have access to either. Wanting to go lock it up in the car was a reasonable response that followed your rule. It doesn't sound like you warned guests ahead of time of this rule, and you didn't even warn her in the moment that the ceremony was going to start without her in under 15 minutes, when you knew it would take her 15 minutes to get back. Literally all you had to do was wait a few minutes. But because you were feeling petty, you made your husband sad and created an unnecessary rift. Of course, yes, the a-hole. You couldn't wait a couple of minutes for your mother-in-law? Your husband's mother? His mother? To see him get married? It was a power trip, not the phone thing, but starting the ceremony without her. It was making a point to her, a pretty cheeky point. You should have waited and you purposefully didn't because you don't like her. It's his mother. Yes, the a-hole, but not about the phone thing. Your wedding, your rules. But I think you went too far not waiting for her. You robbed this woman of a once-a-lifetime memory of her son getting married, and that's just shameful. She'll never get that opportunity back because you decided it was okay to steal it from her. What a hateful thing to do to another human being, and on a day where you become part of her family. She spent decades of her lifespan raising that young man into a person you felt worthy of marrying. You owe this woman your thanks for that. She literally birthed a husband for you. If you had a son, would you be pleased if his bride couldn't wait a mere 10 minutes for the ceremony to commence? I've attended 15+ weddings in my life, and not a single one of them started on time. I remember waiting a full hour for one of them. My fiance and I got engaged around the same time as both of my parents. Divorced, engaged to other people. I didn't think much of it, beyond that it was a strange coincidence. But my fiance expressed a couple of times that she thought it was weird that they were both planning weddings around the same time as their son, and she felt most parents would want to focus on their child. Recently, she came to me and asked if we could postpone for a year. I was immediately concerned and asked why. She said that she didn't like feeling in competition with my parents, and it was ruining the experience for her. She feels bad about our wedding because she can't afford for it to be as fancy as theirs. My dad's fiance is doing everything super over the top, and my fiance feels lame. My mom's is much smaller, but the stuff she's getting is really high-end. She also said she's jealous of my mom's dress, and it's really ruining the experience. For some background, her and my mom hate each other. They've got to the point where they are civil, and we just don't get together that much. But I know deep down they really can't stand each other. My dad's fiancé is very braggy and likes to one-up people. I do get why that would bother her, but I still can't imagine postponing marriage a year. I said she was being pretty shallow, and it makes me feel like we are in for a life where she will be constantly disappointed because I'm never going to be able to buy her the things my dad and mom's fiancé can get their partners. We are solidly middle class, and I do work full-time, but that isn't going to happen. She said I'm being mean, and I should have validated her feelings. She's pretty hurt right now and mad that I called her shallow, and wants me to be fully supportive of postponing. She isn't going to my mom's wedding, and I support that. We are currently distancing ourselves from my dad and his fiancé, but I felt I had to be honest about my feelings, and I don't see this as a good reason to postpone. Dude, everything you've just written down, if you love your future wife, postpone it to whichever date she wants. She's definitely not shallow for thinking that you're the a-hole, but really, it's a crap situation. Learn from your parents' mistakes, and have a bit of give and take from the get-go. Yes, the a-hole. Your fiancé told you that the wedding planning experience has turned into a feeling of competition rather than a joyous experience. To anyone reading this, that is accusing this poor woman of being jealous or that she needs therapy. Chill the duck down. The way OP describes the story was that she opened up her feelings to him, and he was insensitive. We are allowed to feel insecure and jealous from time to time. What matters is how we react to those feelings. And fiancé's request was to postpone the wedding, which I think shows some maturity, honestly. It doesn't really matter if her feelings stem from jealousy about how her wedding will compare to the other two. She doesn't feel comfortable, so postpone the damn thing. You calling her shallow is very hurtful, especially knowing that your mother hates your fiancé and seemingly started the relationship rift, as well as saying that she'd never see her grandchildren with you because she thinks you and your fiancé are stupid. You also don't have a relationship with your dad or his fiancé, but are expected to also be at their wedding? No wonder your fiancé is feeling uncomfortable. Maybe she didn't use the right wording, but take a moment to look at the entire situation and try to empathize with her a little bit. Having in-laws that hate you can be relationship ending. You are about to get married, and if you can't support her now, maybe she shouldn't be marrying you at all. You're the a-hole. She wants her wedding to be a day she's proud of and happy with. Two women, who you have mentioned in the comments aren't even going to be allowed to meet your grandchildren because they will be insulting, are rubbing their wealth in her face. She wanted to postpone the wedding so she wouldn't feel outshined, and you just insulted her. Most women love wedding planning and getting everything settled regardless of the budget. You are ruining y'all's wedding for her. Some quick background. My middle brother is getting married in July. It is a destination wedding which will require me and my partner to spend a good deal of money to get there, along with accommodations, food, etc. during the trip. This is not a problem as I really want to attend my brother's wedding, and I haven't seen most of my family in years. About a week ago, my dad texted me to ask me how much money I'm giving my brother and his bride for their wedding gift. My dad has always been sketchy with money, but I felt comfortable answering this question and told him I would only match half of what my younger brother is giving him, which would be $300 for me, because I am spending more money and have to make more arrangements to attend the destination wedding. Right after I mentioned this, my dad starts to hound me over text, asking if I could possibly give my brother and his fiancé the gift sooner rather than later, as in now. I told my father I would be giving them the money in an envelope on the day of their wedding. My father proceeds to tell me that they are hurting for funds to pay for the wedding, which is set to cost $25,000, and they really need my $300 or the wedding might have to be postponed. I didn't have much of a response to that, so we kind of just ended the conversation there. Now, every morning since that conversation, my dad sends me texts and tries to contact me over the phone, and continues to tell me that unless I send my gift over, the wedding will have to be postponed indefinitely. I'm thinking it's good I didn't buy my plane tickets yet, because things in my family always get shifted around at the last minute. I told him politely to let me be, and that I had made up my mind, and that they probably shouldn't have this expensive wedding if they need my gift that much. I told him I was getting off as I needed to get ready for work, and he called me selfish and asked how I could do this to my brother. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to give my brother his wedding money and possibly causing his wedding to be moved? Not the a-hole. There's something sketchy about the concept that your brother needs just $300 to not have to postpone a $25K wedding. And indefinitely? You should maybe reach out to your brother rather than taking your father's word. Not the a-hole. Something sounds really off and I can't figure out what. However, I agree with you. Your brother and his fiancé have no business having destination weddings when they couldn't afford it in the first place. Too bad for them, and too bad if they have to postpone it. They can go get married at the JP office. Either way, their financial problems are not yours. As for your dad, tell him your brother can fight his own battles. Why does he have daddy constantly harass you? What is going on? By the way, $300 can't possibly be the factor why they can't get married for a wedding that's supposed to cost $25K. Not the a-hole. And this makes me wonder if Dad was handling the finances and now needs to plug the holes he created with money mismanagement. I would call the brother and get the actual facts, and probably go low contact, no contact with dear old Dad.